Despite the fact that we all like to be selling new homes and dealing with things that are clean and fit and stand, etc., we all have to deal with the used home and what to do with it when we have to take it back and turn it over. And so the panel here is called the Extreme Home Makeover. And at least in my community, sometimes they get to be really extreme. But all these people, except David Voss, have been on panels before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing them. I've got Cobb Phillips, I've got Maryuri Barberan, I've got Stacy Voss, I've got Victor Turner, and then David Voss on the end. I will introduce David a little bit since he hasn't been on the panel. David owns 9 parks in Missouri, and obviously does a lot of refurb. He's got a very, very unique approach to refurbing houses. So what I'm going to ask each person to do is just sort of introduce themselves and give the audience an idea of how extensive their activities in refurbishing homes are. For example, the number of homes, the extent that you rehab, and just share whatever experience they have that'll be valuable to the audience here. So I want to start off with Cobb Phillips.
I've already did this one time, but I own 4 communities. I am a rental community. I don't lease to own. I don't buy new homes. So therefore, I do a lot of rehabbing. And there's things that I've come across through experiences that, and I was on this panel last year, and the things that I did last year hasn't changed. And the number one thing is, if you're going to rehab a house, and I mean, they may have different opinions on this, but the number one thing in a mobile home is leaks, okay? It's just how it is. So to stop a leak, especially on a single wide, I don't even fix the leaks anymore. I put a metal roof on them and I go about my business, all right? Once I protect that house from leaks, that house will last forever, guys. They really will. It's so protect your investment, and that is the only way that I have found to protect my investment. And when you do the metal roof, make sure you got at least a 6 to 12-inch overhang on both sides, and you got something then that will last. I can assure you. But as far as the inside of the stuff, I'll let everybody else do that, and if I need to chime in, take it.
I'm Maryuri, and I work for Spencer. Most of you probably know me. But we used to do a lot of rehabs on used mobile homes. Fortunately, in the last 3 years, it's decreasing. So we had a good experience of repairing a used house, but we have a budget where we see that it's not feasible for us to spend that much money on repairing. And when we do the repair, we have to check if the house has a potential for continue having a life for maybe 10 more years. And we look into, usually we like the houses that have vinyl siding, shingle roof, and if the shingle roof is working, it's no leaks, and we have a nice vinyl siding, we just pressure wash, and then we go in the inside. We have a major repair 2 years ago in our house that we thought it was total loss, but at that time, we didn't have any project for the maintenance guy, and he took upon to fix it after the approval, and fortunately we were able to sell it almost immediately after it was repaired. But what we do, and one of our maintenance guys that we have is so, he's very clever. He do things in the mobile home that makes the house to look even different, bigger, and then remove a cabinet and make it bigger, and put new countertop. So he's a really good handyman and made a big difference in selling this house. So when you have a house that is old or and it needs to be rehabbed, things that help to get it in the market quick is having to make changes in it. And this guy is helpful to us doing those repairs. But as I said, we right now have out of the 400, 500 lots that we have, we only have 3 in inventory that are repo house, and we're getting them to get ready to be finished for rehab and then put in sale. And those we put in a very small short term so we can get rid of them soon. But it's unfortunately it's not something that we want to do, and we are doing so well with the new houses. But rehab it can be done if you have the good maintenance people, the good people to do the work for you.
Thank you, Martha.
Hello, my name is Stacy Voss. I'm up in Michigan, community owner there, 5 communities up in Michigan. We renovated, 12 by 60 foot tin cans all the way up to, vinyl shingle, larger homes in the 2000s that were pretty, beat up. We love renovating used homes. We do a lot of rentals, not across the board, but we found it's allowed us to be a little bit more flexible in the sense that people, if the purchasing market kind of dries up a little bit, financing gets tight, everybody needs a place to live, and you can have that type of flexibility. The very interesting phenomena for us is that when people are coming in to rent, no one asks what year the home is. Never. In 10 years, no one has ever asked me. I've had people walk into a house, a 1974 Carrollton, that has the vintage cabinets, the vintage paneling. They love that it's vintage. They don't care that it was, it was metal on metal. We put vinyl siding over, we put new shutters, we did upgrade the windows, so we have some money in the house. But people want bedrooms, they want square footage, and they want a roof over their head. They do not care what they do. So when you're doing a lot of rentals, I think it works. Obviously, ideally, new homes are better, lower maintenance, and there are going to be more maintenance expenses. But when you get, I don't think homes were built very well myself in the 80s and maybe mid-early 90s. And so the stuff in the early 80s and the 70s, we found the whole proverbial, they don't make things like they used to. If it's not true about mobile homes, it's not true about anything. I mean, it is, things were just very well made then. And so, you get a lot more bang for your buck, especially if you have the home already sitting in your park and you have to make the decision to hold on to it or spend the money to get rid of it. Hold on to it, unless, especially if there's the finances to put a metal roof on it, then it's a no-brainer. But you are going to have to, bite the bullet and put a few grand into a roof that, really is nobody's going to care about except for you.
I'm not a park owner. I buy and sell used homes, so I can touch base in that area. And whenever I'm looking at a used home, I won't buy it unless it has plywood, not pressed board floors. That's a very helpful piece of advice there. And cabinets are expensive to go in and fix. One thing that I found that's actually cheaper, whether it's if it's a paneling house, is to go in and put the modern print in there instead of trying to sheetrock mud the paneling, and it doesn't turn out well, and you end up painting and it just looks like a little lipstick's been put on something. But if you go in there, it's actually quicker to buy new paneling that goes into new homes, and you can go in there and it makes it look like a new home. It really does. Those are some, that's, other than that, finding, all homes leak over a period of time, especially the tin homes around the windowsills, and also, going in and replacing that, putting new windows and making sure there's not mold is a big deal, and we treat that heavily. But other than that, I'd say the best advice I can give you is putting the panels in there instead of trying to mud holes.
Thank you, Victor.
Everything that everyone has said, I'm David Voss from St. Louis, and we're a little bit, do you all have DuPont paint over here? I don't know if you have it or not. And when we bring a home into our area, we give it a DuPont overhaul. It's going to get paint, vinyl, and carpet for sure, one end to the other. I agree with him on the panels. We don't patch any panels with drywall mud or try to replace it with drywall. We buy an 1/8-inch Luan type material that's vinyl covered. We pull the battens, replace that whole sheet, and then put the battens up next to it, caulk it in tight, and then paint the entire room. But, you know, so we give it a DuPont overall. One thing that we do a little bit different, Spencer's been on me to buy new houses, and we're at a point now where we're gonna have to start buying new houses. But we do things a little bit differently. We rehab approximately 30 houses a year in our communities, things that we either buy from somebody who left or somebody that we, back in the old days when we owner financed our lease option, we end up getting the unit back. We don't let any of them go. We keep them all and rebuild them the best we can. But we had a problem. We too are a mobile home transport company, and used to, when I bought a house, whichever community was closest to it, they got the house for the least amount of transportation possible. I took it and I sent it out there. 4 years ago, we decided to change that, and the big thing is that whenever my site manager was going around saying, hey Johnny, pick up your bikes and clean up around your house or fix your loose skirting, they would go right away and say, well, what about that piece of junk they pulled in 4 months ago and ain't touched, you know, that's sitting at the other end of the park. So we went to a different way. We decided to make a rebuilding plan. I bought an old tractor dealership, put self-storage in the front of it, climate control storage in the park rooms and so forth, put my girls in the front office that ran my communities. The back shop we turned into our personal shop, and then we set the homes up behind the community. All we do is block and level them. We have electric hookup set up there and a water set up where we can fire them up. So we buy used homes wherever we can get them, 40 to 60 a year, and then we pull them into the shop. And my guys get rained out on the job or something, they come to the rebuild plant, they always work, and they appreciate that. But more importantly, we get that home completely redone, dressed up nice, and then whichever community is selling homes gets the home. So if we have, we have a place that only will take a 60-foot lot, we're watching for that 60-foot house, we get one purchased, we'll get it in the rebuild plant right away and fix it up and send it out to her, because there are not many homes available like that. But on an 80-foot home, they all have to kind of compete for it. You can have 1 or 2 houses in the community, but if you got 3, you're not getting a new one. You're going to have to sell what you have there and go from that point. But I think that's really worked very well for us. I think that one thing that I want to make clear that I see so many people do that are rebuilding in their own communities. They have this little 1460 that's a 3-bedroom. They say, you know what, we want to make it a nice 2-bedroom, so they'll pull a wall and stuff. Whenever you pull any of those structural pieces out of that house is no longer conformed to that HUD code sticker that you have on the back, and now you're under a county regulation or state regulations for a remodel. You can't do that. You can't move electrical plugs and stuff, because when you do that, that voids that HUD inspection that was done when that house was built. When we go out and try to buy used homes, and we come across that every once in a while, and those are about the only houses we pass on if they've made that kind of structural change. Again, everybody's saying about the leaks, that's the #1 thing. You have to definitely get that taken care of right out the gate. And then you have to you have to build a thing with your suppliers. Now granted, we can buy a lot of our supplies from U-Haul, from Lowe's, but we buy a lot of it from mobile home suppliers, so we're going back in with mobile home things. Like for instance, on our carpet, we wouldn't think of we buy all of our carpet from Heritage Carpet. They were out here today on display. And the reason is they've got a 13.6 for our 14-wide houses. They have a 15.3 carpet for our 16-wide houses. They got the vinyl to do it. We call them with the room size. 3 days later, they get them all the way to Missouri. I think here they'll get you in a day or 2. But that's crucial to get that material that fits in a manufactured home, because our labor gets cut out. I can have grass cutters that we can train to be carpet layers. Now you think that's kind of ridiculous, but when you buy carpet that fits the house, the only seam you have is a little 3-foot doorway seam. So we buy things that fit our communities. My guys, the less expensive guys, are in there doing that on rain days or whatever, but then I'll have my good guy do the actual seaming. Don't letting these houses go, and I'll give you one more thing here. probably talking too long, but one thing that you're gonna have, I think that you're gonna see nationwide, in St. Louis, in Missouri, we're a money grab state. The government jumped right in when the public service, and it's a group is known as the Public Service Commission, on making us conform to the HUD regulations as far as setups and so forth. An example for us, if we take a used home and we put it in our community right now, usually if we have a concrete pad or piers or runners, it's all acceptable, and we can just set the house and go. But when we bring a new house into our community, there's a lot of different lot prep that we have to do. So for where a lot of you guys are buying a $30,000 house and a $5,000 setup, giving you a $35,000 total cost, in Missouri, we have about $40,000 cost because we got about a $5,000 lot prep prior to putting that. So if I have a lot that's in decent shape at all, I'm using that used home. Unfortunately, I've used up all of my decent lots, so now I'm taking my junk lots and I'm going to go ahead and do the proper lot prep and then put the new homes in. But you need to be really paying attention because we just got the letter that the state of Illinois did not pick up and start doing these inspections on their own. So the federal government's come in now, and now they're going to be doing those inspections. Now granted, they hired one man for the whole state of Illinois, but once they find out this is a money grab over there, Illinois is going to jump on it quick, and they'll have 8 or 10 people running around doing these lot prep inspections and house setup inspections, and it's going to be costly. So you definitely need to be with your setup guy to make sure he knows what he's doing before he sets that house up.
Thanks so much, David. I'm sure everyone here can see that we've got an awful lot of experience up here. So rather than me pose questions, I'm just going to open it up to the floor for questions for these guys. If we don't get a lot of response, I'll ask my questions. But who do we have that's got questions?
If you put a metal roof over an existing and you're advocating 6-inch or 12-inch overhangs, how are you supporting that? I can logically see 3 inches, but how do you support a 6-inch metal overhang?
Well, you have to frame, even if you overlap a metal roof or a shingle roof, you still frame that as if you would that wasn't there. So
you're coming out on the hinge, you're still coming out.
Exactly. It's the same thing. So, and I'm a big metal person, fan. You know, it's just.
Do any of you stage the homes when you get them ready? And if you do, how do you do it?
Yes, we do. We like, and it has been one of the sales point for us, more nicely staged, and it gives, if the rooms are too small, we put like a bunk bed so to help them to figure it out that even though the room is small, they can still put 2 kids in one bedroom when they have 2 boys and the other bedroom for a girl. But yes, we do. We have actually, that's one of the things we're doing lately, and it has been very effective for us.
Okay, so as a one park owner, if I have to stage a home or two, do I just go out to stores and buy the beds and the tables? I mean, how do I go about doing that?
We go and buy furniture from IKEA. Sometimes we actually buy, Walmart is like a great place to buy furniture. They have good prices, Walmart, IKEA, and then there are other places for decorations you find. I think it's Big Lots. That's another area to buy cheap decorating items that makes the place to look nice. Do not put too much, it makes it too crowded. So we have now a good decorator, which is Genevieve. She has been our advisor to get furniture, and he has helped us to do the sales pretty quickly. And some of them are buying furniture too. We just sell it to the price that we got from the invoice. We're not making money out of that.
I'll chime in on that. We tried something in my part, and it worked very well, and I'll pass it on to you guys. But when we get a house ready to rent, we, talking about the furniture thing, we would go to we have a very large flea market, and it's unbelievable how cheap you can decorate a house with. And what we did is advertise it as a furnished home for rent. very little money. So if they tore it up, we're out nothing, but you wouldn't believe the response we got off of that, and we just left the furniture in there. Now, if there was something they didn't want, we took it out and moved it to the next house. But worked very, very well.
We found as well, if we have anything furnished and we don't have much of it, but that you'll be able to advertise and get a response from insurance companies that are helping people that say had a fire in their home, or a roof issue, and they need a place for 6 months, and they will pay an extreme premium to rent something that's furnished, because they will otherwise they may still rent your place, but then the insurance company then has to coordinate furnishings themselves, and so that it's really low hanging fruit. Especially if you live somewhere where there happens to be storms quite frequently, or just fire, but there's always availability. We get a lot of calls for that.
We work on a pretty big volume. We would never stage a house, but I haven't had a house sit. We try to make our house look nice all the way through. It never looks patched. It looks a total rehab. We paint it from one end to the other, whether it needs it or not. We don't let them set. If they're there over 45 days, my son's down there talking to the park manager because we got some other problem. They should be gone.
Have any of y'all debated or have you used any type of third-party contractor service to come in and remodel your home versus using the maintenance guy that's on your payroll or something like that?
I actually have a crew, and we built a trailer especially for he pulls up, and this crew just runs through the house. But no, I don't use maintenance, because part of rehab is, yes, you've got the expense of rehabbing a home, but how do you put a price on the time that it takes to rehab it? So if we've got my maintenance guy that's got to cut grass today till 1, he goes work on his house for 2 hours, and that takes him a week to get that done. Well, how much? There's some smart guys in here. They can tell you very quickly how much that's going to add up. Using maintenance people, that's something I've learned. That's a no-no.
Let me answer the question a different way, because he's being somewhat modest here. Cole has a separate business that he is available for hire to other community owners to come in as a third-party contacting crew and renovate houses. Victor does that on a smaller scale himself. I could call up Victor and say, I just found 2 repo homes and they're in my park, come over and fix them. And he will bring his people over. Cole does this on a larger scale. And so there are third-party contractors out there. These are 2 guys that have their own companies. And so it is done, and these types of people can be found in different areas of the country.
We use subcontractors when we're busy, but I assure you that whenever we're doing a house, I can tell you exactly how many hours and who worked in that house all the way through. We have a base price that a labor on a house for, when it comes into our spot, it's set up in the back of our shop. And then to go in there and fix floors, do any of the plumbing repairs, go in and seal the entire house, ceilings, walls and all. We seal the floors too, whether they had pets or not. We put a coat of kill sealer all the way through the entire project. And then paint the whole project and do our carpets and so forth. But we can tell you exactly to the hours, and we do $3,500 labor. So you've got guys in there that are making $22 an hour, and we have guys that are making $12 an hour. And we always figure our guys at cost in our house. If you're out working for somebody else, we have different, but in our house it's cost. And we don't do over $3,500 in labor. And if so, then we got a problem. Somebody's got to answer for it.
Got a question here first.
What are y'all doing? What are you guys?
Are yours doing on your floor coverings? Carpet versus laminate, vinyl, that sort of thing, and those of you who are doing metal skirting, where have you found the best place to purchase that material?
Well, we have, the maintenance guys do the repairs, but we have contractors for carpet and vinyl. And our contractor here in Georgia provides the material. Usually he gets it from Dalton, Georgia. And what we figure it out now is that we only put carpet on the bedrooms. Everything else is vinyl. It makes it easier, and the people love that because it looks cleaner and easier to maintain too.
We too switched to that. We were used to carpet and everything except for the bathrooms and kitchen, and now we use vinyl or laminate in the kitchen, living room area, carpet the bedrooms. We buy ours from Heritage. They really, they service us well. Make a phone call, here it is, it's at a fair price.
Let me do the flooring too. I'm going to save you guys a lot of money. We have been experimenting over the past year, 24 by 24 carpet squares. And the way we buy this is our local carpet store sells about a pallet. A pallet does about 400 square feet. So I can floor a whole house for just hundreds of dollars, where you guys, no dish to you guys, but you're paying thousands of dollars. And it's a great looking product. And the beauty of it is, I do not have problems with it filling up and all that kind of stuff. We've already tested it, so it works. But the beauty of it is, you know, if 5 squares need to come up, you come up, replace it with 5, and you're out in 20 minutes. It's huge savings, and it looks good. They have so many different designs you can pick from and all that. You know, probably not the. It's a different grade carpet, but I do rentals. Remember, I do rentals, so but it's saves a lot of money.
I had a question for David. First, actually 2 questions. One, with the vinyl, are you using plank vinyl? And then the second question is, when you're buying used homes, is there, and I know it's all condition based, but is there kind of a home that you won't buy because of age?
The older the houses get, the less we get, the less we're willing to give. You'll be surprised, and the only place that, it depends which community I'm taking it. I take, like, there's a few of my communities I won't take anything but a gable roof. You know, a couple of communities I'll take a flat roof house. But I tell you, you can buy, in Missouri, we can buy a flat roof house or get them a lot of times for free. As a rule, what we do on a 16 by 8, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that's my home. That's what I want. I'm paying from $2,000 to $5,000 for that house, figuring that we're going to have serious heating and air conditioning problems. If I can see that it's a good working furnace that I can get in that house before they've got it broke down, and I've got a good working furnace, good working AC, I may get $4,000 to $6,000. But the plank flooring, we use that Pergo type material, and again, that's something that it doesn't take rocket scientists to put it down. We have our good guy put down the first couple rows, get them started, get it going straight. Anybody can snap it in after that. But then all of the carpet and stuff, and then vinyl we buy from Heritage. Again, the only way that would determine whether we're going to use the vinyl or the sheet good is depending on how the floor is. He was saying about buying that plywood floor house, well then you may be able to get by with the vinyl, but if you're buying a less expensive or older or junkier house, that the floors are a little wavy and stuff, you need to go to that laminate materials because it's pretty forgiving. You don't see the bad spots.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the subflooring, homes, older homes, you really want to find homes that have the plywood flooring. If they have the particle board flooring, I'd say a good 90% of the time there will be some part in that home that you're going to have to replace it, usually around your kitchen sinks, anywhere water gets used daily. When it gets spilled in the floor over a period of time, it does rot the floor out bad.
And particle board is different than OSB. You know, OSB is a way different material than what particle board is. So he's talking a 70 to 80 mile house, and by all means, you got to be careful.
Well, I don't buy anything older than 90s, and it's got to be. I got to be able to just buy it and sell it with no work to it if it's got particle board flooring. If I have to do work to it, I won't buy it unless it has plywood floors.
Okay, just real quick to give you one other alternative, because we do absolutely zero carpet. We haven't put carpet in a house, I think, since the first year we purchased our first community because of animals. People having allergies and moving to the house thereafter. We just cut it out completely. We usually purchase 12 mil with padding attached, laminate wood flooring. We've even run it through kitchens, obviously not bathrooms. We'll abut it up to the laundry room area, and then usually, you know, most people say stay away from tile in mobile homes because the homes move so much that you'll get cracking. We have found if we use smaller format porcelain tiles, stay away from ceramic. Porcelain's made in a completely different way. It's a lot more durable. If you use usually 9 by 12 tiles, we will tile the laundry room area, maybe an area like a maybe 3 by 5 area right by the front door where you tend to get, people keep their boots off and there tends to be, get rainwater in that area. So we will put tile in a few areas, but we run the same laminate wood flooring throughout the house. And people tend to really like it. We were doing the sheet goods for quite a while and it was great, except when people moved and they moved washers and dryers, or if somebody even, if they put too much in their dryer and the dryer starts to jump or the washer jumps, it was ripping the floor. And so the floors looked great, but then there were these huge, rips in them, and so we were overlaying with laminate anyway, and so we just cut it out completely. But we do end up paying, a significant premium over probably regular carpet and the carpet tiles. But for us, it's the long term, and if it's going to be a rental, we'd rather go in and just have to clean it up. And we also do, when people move in, is you would believe the number of people that will mop laminate wood floors, and you might as well kiss them goodbye. So we give everybody about $30, $25. We just buy them on Amazon and have them shipped into the park on 2-day Amazon Prime, which I absolutely would suggest everybody doing, because it is absolutely a great way to get things to your park quickly. But we give everybody one of those, I think it's pronounced Bona, B-O-N-A, floor cleaning, it's a spray, and then it's the mop. We just give them to them, because it's $25 up front, but absolutely saves the floors. People just don't, and most people have lived in apartments, and they just haven't had maybe floors that nice. They just don't know how to, they don't need to damage them, but they do.
I have 2 or 3 thoughts or suggestions and then a couple of questions. I have a little hearing disability, so somebody may have mentioned it, but I don't think it is pets. As far as I'm concerned, it's God's gift to mobile home parties. If you're not using it, it's just too good not to. The other thing, I have done some, make new rehabs on single wides where new roof, thermal windows, new doors, cabinet doors. Basically, somebody could come in and it looked as well as a new house. Problem is you end up, I had ended up pretty close to what the house would cost, but, because it's on the park, it's there, you save the setup cost, and that has worked for me. I'm not sure I want to do them every day. And then I've done some partial rehabs where, taking a metal house and cleaned up inside, new floor covering, and in some cases, in a house 15 or 20 years old, in our part of the world, we use heat pumps, and in some cases, the A-coil leaks in the furnace, so if one's several years old, I just replace the air handle and put a new heat pump in it, because if you don't, after about 2 weeks when somebody's in there, the air handle goes out and back. So, and I guess the question is if there's a consensus, I hear you talking about, I think, really old house, barrel roof type houses, and then some newer stuff. Where's everybody at on what they feel comfortable in spending in the house, and what's the end up market price range?
Well, I'll answer that one. If I already have one for $15,000 and you bring in a new one for $40,000, I think I'm ahead of the game. Now, I don't rehab them for that much, but that's the way I do it.
Yeah, I want to kind of say, we look at a house, and when it comes out of our plan, it's got to sell for we have 15 to 18,000, 15 usually on a 16 by 8, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We went it from 15 to 18,000. We marketed in our community to 22 to 25,000. Vinyl sided house being more than a metal house. But I do want to make one comment about what you were talking about with your rehab, and I bet you make a nice house, and I understand that. But here's the philosophy that we kind of live by when we're looking at houses. The reason this 1,200 square foot single wide out here sells for $40,000 and a 1,200 square foot stick built house costs $80,000. There's the same amount of square footage, but they're 2 totally different houses. And the problem is what you were speaking about with your rehab. We don't try to make them like a house. We're going to be satisfied with a manufactured home, so it's a lesser quality than a house. But when you start sticking that money into a home like you're remodeling a house, to me, it doesn't ever work, because if you're getting up to that number of 21 or 22, spend 3 more out here, or 4 more, and buy a new house. And then,
When on the same house, I'm talking about the manufactured home.
yeah, that's what I'm saying too, but there's a reason that a stick-built house costs $80,000 and this one costs $25,000, and it's because of the quality of the house.
I think that Dave and Cole on each end are saying sort of 15-ish, 20-ish is about their limit
Top.
of what they would spend in fixing up a home, or total in, including your purchase cost. And then you get above that, you might go to the new ones. Marjorie or Stacy, would your range be
Yeah, I
similar
would
to
be
that?
pretty similar to that. For us, 15 would be on the high end. We'd be probably closer to the 8 to 12 range. But that really genuinely requires like watching a lot of HGTV and getting extremely creative. We've been able to avoid some big hits where we would have gone up above that 15, 18 range. We were going to replace kitchen cabinets, especially the cabinets that are the wrap doors and they're peeled and they're awful. Honestly, we started buying it's an expensive product, per ounce. But Annie Sloan is a British company. She makes wax paint. Chalk paint. Get some at Lowe's as well. But this stuff is no joke. It is so nice. If you go online and type, Annie Sloan kitchen cabinets. You don't have to. You make sure the cabinets are clean, but you don't have to prime them. You don't have to sand them. You paint right over them. It is idiot-proof. I am the worst painter, and I can make these kitchens look like $1 million. And they have really pretty colors. Put new hardware on them, and you could avoid, a $2,000 kitchen cabinet, hit with $70 worth of paint. Otherwise, it really is. It is easy for the numbers to creep up very, very quickly.
Also, something you might want to look into if you order new homes. If you're ordering multiple homes, actually just more than one, you might want to go to the factory, and if you'll order all your homes in the same color wall boards, you actually can buy extra wall boards, store them, and then later on, you're eventually going to have to, instead of having to go in and paint that whole room, you pop that piece of sheetrock out because you got the same type of wall board. You can't buy enough to last you forever, but you can buy enough to, get you through, a couple.
We've done that when we were renovating used homes and buying new homes, and we like the wall board of the new homes, and so we asked them to put a bunch of the boards in the new home and they shipped it up. So we didn't have any delivery fee either, so we got the house and it was full of materials from the factory.
They're not going to like us for that, but
Cole, when you're putting a roof on, a metal roof on a flat roof, what type of framing are you doing and how are you securing it to the home?
my guys, they're really good at what they do, but you just run down the middle with a 2x6, turn it on its side, build a frame, and now you've got a little A-roof house.
Do you ever move that house after you do that? Then?
No, that's in my part.
Yeah, that's in his park. You can't do that and move that thing around. So whoever buys that house needs to know it's going nowhere. If they're in my park, you ain't going anywhere anyhow. I'm gonna buy
I don't sell houses either.
Yeah.
If you get a good mover, I have seen it done.
Drive slow, huh?
Do you guys warranty any of your rehabs at all for 90 days, the first year, or anything like that?
I'm strictly rental, so I ain't warranting nothing.
We do not warranty anything in Neo's house. In the contract, they have, you get a house as is. You will be responsible for anything from day one. We do a pre-inspection to make sure, and we want to sell the house in good condition. We try our best that everything will work and it will last at least, hopefully for 5 or 6 years because things can break, but we don't put anything on the market unless we feel that it's suitable. We always tell the maintenance people, whoever works, to make sure it looks and it feels the way you want it to be in your house. So we want to make sure it's in good condition and we do our best. But no, we do not warranty anything.
Okay, actually, our scheduled time is up. Now, we might can run over a little bit, but David has got to leave or else he may be spending another night.
Thank you all very much. Good luck to you.
Thanks a lot, David.
Thank you.
Here, this information you provided, extremely valuable. Thank you.
we'll ask 2 or 3 more questions.
Yeah, I think we can do some more questions, yeah.
And the next one's right here.
How much more do you get for rent when you furnish them? And I've got another question.
We did actually increase the rent, but very little. You know, I think we did $25, but it was the response you got and how quick you rented, just because it was just so cheap furniture. I mean, of course it wasn't junk, but just with it saying, hey, it's furnished, and you got so many more calls, and I'm sure we placed some of them people in other homes, but it was a great way to get people in, and it really worked. It was really cheap.
My other question is, what's your expense ratio on a pure rental? What,
Where did Steve go? Well, I have a lot of rentals, and I probably don't keep up with that number as well as I should. The panel before us was talking about a guy in North the United States that had a very high expense because of he was a rental property, and I'm the same way. That's a hard question to answer. I think you would have to go over to a turnover rate to see what my turnover is first, to see exactly what I am paying versus somebody who's selling. That would be the only way you can answer that accurately.
I'll volunteer my experience. I used to do a combination of rentals and sales or lease options, and generally I averaged, this is including taxes and insurance, I averaged about 50% expense ratio on my rental houses. And on my lease options and installment sales contracts, we don't repair anything while they're in there. That's their responsibility. But then we have costs when they default and we have to fix them up. And our overall expense ratio on those has been around 20%.
Can I ask a question? First of all, some states require warranties for a certain amount of time, so you've got to be aware of that. Texas requires at least 90 days, maybe more. Now, those of you that sell homes, do you include a right of first refusal to repurchase it if it gets sold?
Yes, we absolutely do. We have a right of refusal clause that, and I don't know that it's actually required under Michigan law, but that has a tool where they have to give us the opportunity to purchase it. And in the event that we elect to do that, we will pay them $200 over what they were going to sell it to a third party. And that way, if it ever came under the scrutiny of a judge, we were giving them additional consideration in the eyes of the law, for that, and not trying to hog tie them to never be able to move the house out of the park.
So if they can move the house.
No, well, they would know if they were going to sell the house to somebody that was going to move it out, or if they were going to sell it to somebody that was going to move into the home and keep it in the community, then we wouldn't want to interfere. But if they were going to sell it to somebody that was going to bring it out, then we would then exercise our right of first refusal, and we would purchase it for $200 more than they were going to, so we wouldn't lose the house out of the park. As long as it wasn't some ridiculous, purchase price.
So they get an offer, and then they have to give you the right to.
Yeah, somebody offers them $10,000 for the house, they have to bring it to us, and we'll give them $10,200.
Gotcha, thank you.
We don't, because we're not required to do it, but we have the right to do it.
How do you acquire that right?
It's in the lease. It's actually, I think we put it in the purchase agreement and we put it in the lease. I mean, we just make it very clear, and because there's that additional consideration, we've never had an issue with it.
Just a couple of things I'll add to that. We're trying to get out of the rental business, but the ones that we do keep, if they're 12, 15 years old, we'll go ahead and take out the water heaters, we'll put in new ones, and we'll make sure they've got pans underneath them, because when they're in the closet, you can't see the water leaking, and it'll be gone before you know it. So we'll always put the pans under. The other thing we'll do is change all the supply lines, the old supply lines, and the sink and the toilets, because they'll leak and they'll break on you, flood your home. We change out the flood masters, so that's just an aggravation thing that you're always going to get. If we really get ambitious, we'll take the plastic tubs and showers out, and there's nothing more aggravating than trying to get out a plastic tub and shower while somebody's living in the home that they've stepped through, cracked, and broke. And they usually won't tell you about it, and it'll leak the whole time. And then we'll take all the coils on the inside and outside and clean them good, so that cuts down on power bills and maintenance. And then also on the other thing, when you go and change the air filters in your rental homes, you get in once a month or every other month. We were finding that the people would clean up their house where their air filter is in the hallway, but we couldn't get into the bedrooms. They didn't want us in there. Some reason is always there. But what we found out they were doing, they were hiding their dogs in the bedrooms. So what we did, we put $5 smoke alarms in every bedroom now, and we had to go through and check the fire alarms. It's code. We have to go in your bedroom now, and we'll change the battery.